What's up, guys? It's your host, Spartanic Arts DXD, back with another high school DXD related video. Today we have What If Issei Left, part 19, baby! And this part's an absolute banger, you already know. If we could hit 400 to 500 likes for this video, that'd be absolutely amazing. And if you guys want to know exactly when I upload / my upload schedule, click the little blue button right next to the subscribe button. That'd be extremely appreciated. We just hit 61,000 subscribers over on Ampopowski, and we're pushing 40 on this. So yeah, like that's pretty cool. I just thought that was pretty awesome. And I just posted my reaction to High School DxD episode 2 over on my Patreon, by the way. I'll leave the link in the description below if you want to join the Patreon. I really do appreciate it. Yeah, so thank you so much for the support once again, ladies and gentlemen. This part's going to be great. Without further ado, let's go thank my balance breakers: Aunt Lewis, Lachlan Yates, Jordan Patchow, Night Ammo, Reefeek135, Unsainted Tiger, The Black Dragon Emperor, Keep Saying 21, Undefined Truth, VR Wolf, Dark Phoenix, EK2000, Shen Byun, Chaotic Raven, Mazaku, Dr_MLG_ is the Bomb, Grimfire Shot Gamer, Ryuga, Soresponder, Rob the King, Zero Fusion, Nordatrax. So thank you so much for becoming a balance breaker. And once again, I literally just released High School DxD episode 2 reaction, like the full entire, me reacting to the episode, the whole entire thing over on the Patreon. And the reason why I upload it on Patreon is so I don't get copyrighted, okay? Just FYI. So, yeah, let's go ahead and shout out my Patreon members: Justin Branovich, Ryuga, Lachlan Yates, The Black Dragon Emperor, Brendan Dossett, thank you, Stripe-A-Longer, Mark Bacon, Sharklock, and Jay Dawson. Thank y'all so much for becoming a Patreon member. Seriously, I really do appreciate it. You guys have no idea how much that helps. Oh, we're also pushing 40,000 followers on my TikTok. That's also crazy. So across all platforms, ladies and gentlemen, I mean, it's been this way for a while, but we're like 120,000 people plus, which is crazy. I think that's absolutely crazy. I like that. That's insane. So thank you so much for the support. Without any further intrusion, let's go ahead and get into part 19. Oh, and before we get into it, we're on, we're like right here where she, Issei's grandmother is confronting, you know, Irina about what she did to Issei, our boy over here. And just FYI, if you guys want to join my Discord server, it's linked down in the description below as well as in the premiere. But let's go ahead and get right into it. So, picking up where we left off, the grandmother starts, or Hyoudou. I told you would need more than me. Drink while it is hot, taking a sip of her own cup and letting out a deep sigh as the tea took over her senses, making her feel relaxed. Hyoudou watched as Irina moved her hands from her face, looking at her red, tear-stricken face. She did not want to comfort the one she saw as a granddaughter. However, Hyoudou needed to make Irina see the damage that she caused, not just to herself or Issei, but others around. She continued to watch as Irina took a sip of the tea. Drink more, or you won't feel the effects. Drinking more of her tea as she watches Irina hesitantly drink more of her own. Much better. Now, where was I? Hyoudou says. You were saying about it's been years that Issei was left to the side, Irina said. Ah, yes. You see, my dear, since you left, those bastards started loving Issei less. It was just a facade of a happy family. And when he awoken his perversion, that love dissipated each day. Though it is hilarious how hypocritical they were, since you've seen that our family can be perverted, but even so, they never made any attempts to correct the poor boy. They stopped visiting us less, even more when Juzo died, until you came with Issei and the other girls. It was Issei that suggested for us to come, Irina said, and I am thankful that I got to see my grandson. I could not fathom how much those two left him, but when you all came, I saw how much they doted over you, and the others more than they did their son. I could see it. You all replaced Issei, so congratulations. But don't worry, Issei has new parents that care about him and his future, and he has a new fiancé, bigger boobs than you, of course, Hyoudou says. Irina slumped her head. She had a feeling that she wouldn't get Issei's love, and she knew that Hyoudou was throwing it in her face. She wouldn't blame the grandmother. After all, she did the same thing to Issei. You know, it makes me wonder. The boy, Kiba, was it? You said he didn't love you. So who did he love? Hyoudou said. Oh, Tsubaki-san. As she took out a group picture that she had from her phone, she's the one with the glasses and mismatching eyes. Next to the other girl with the glasses and short hair, Irina said. Haruto looked for who Irina just pointed out, and her eyes widened slightly, most because of each of the girls just in the picture, but she had this to say. I must say, he has some good taste. She is better looking than you and a bigger chest. I'm sure Juzo would say that he would bend her over his lap or the desk. She laughed. That old pervert, Haruto said. Irina felt insulted. But she knew she had this coming and she deserved it and then some. She simply just nodded. She knew she didn't compete with Tsubaki. At least she knew Tsubaki would have been loyal, unlike her, who had forgot about the person she had loved for a decade. Hurts, doesn't it? Haruto said. The feeling of being replaced, ridiculed by those you trust the most. Yeah, Irina replies, not knowing what to say. You should have come to me, Irina, to get a second opinion about what you planned to do. Maybe less it would have been her. You wouldn't have stayed away from your faith. So tell me, what do you plan to do? I don't know. I don't want Ross Weissa sensei to have to on suicide watch because of me. And I said, Ross Weissa, you're with her? She needs to explain why she chose that prick over my grandson as she sat her tea down. Haruto said, what? No, Ross Weissa sensei was drugged by Azazel with an Aristocat. She had gone to get enchantments for her wand, and he did so then. Then he had Pyoman pressured her into drinking as a form of celebration, not knowing it was drugged, and it was confirmed that it was. She wanted to confess to Issei, but she didn't get the chance to, Irina said. Haruto's eyes widened. She knew from Issei and his rituals that drinks were involved. From what Irina said, if that was true, then at least someone wanted him, but was taken from him against her will. It did make Azazel more of a bastard in her eyes, though. Well, this is quite the shock. Leaning back in her chair, tell me, did you apologize to this Tsubaki? Haruto says. Yes, I even gave her permission to do whatever she wanted to me, which she did. Over the course of this week, I do whatever task she gives me, and she gets to slap me periodically for about 10 minutes before she healed my cheeks and told me that at some point my pain will bore her. I see, Haruto says, reaching for her tea again and taking a sip. Tell me, considering you were influenced by the devil, how do you think the world would be if God was influenced by Lucifer? Haruto said. Irina stopped to think about this. Considering how they just had a war with Lucifer, she did not think the world would be what it is. She would never be an angel. Frankly, she might not have even been born. The world as we know it would cease to exist. Lucifer would want to rule it all again, reign supreme and backstab God and the others just to get what he wanted, not caring if the others were hurt. It caused Irina look back on her conversation with Zenova, who didn't care that she was hurting, and only was trying to make her move by invoking jealousy. I would say so. Now you are seeing a little bit of what your actions have done. School ends in what, 2 weeks, Haruto says? Yes, Hyoudou-san, 2 weeks, Irina said. Then I suggest you go home. Irina was expecting that. She knew it was her time to leave and head back to the empty mansion, so she nodded and was about to get up and leave. I don't think you understand the meaning of my words. That house is not your home. Irina, home is where your parents are. I suggest you talk to them, and also your superior about your sins. When school ends, you should take your things from that gaudy mansion and go back home to them. The influence of those devils ruined you and made you in return, made the other angel as well. A lot of this could have been different if you have come to me before, Tu said. Yeah, Irina, with less tears, fell from her eyes. So this Ross Weissa-san has been living with you, Haruto says. Well, no. She actually moved out. When she found out she was drugged, she was disgusted living under the same roof as the people who only cared for themselves, and she's right. I don't need to deserve these wings on my back, nor do I wish I met myself as a child because of the actions that I would commit in the future. She was right about it all, Irina said. And the other girls? Are they there, Haruto said? At the mansion? No. They have a mission till Sunday, so I came here to seek some guidance after Ross Weissa told me of how she spoke with her grandmother, and I was afraid to speak with Michael-sama or my parents, and I didn't have the heart to tell Gabriel that I made a commit and a terrible mistake. I see, so you came to your grandmother after all, though it was too late, Haruto says. Yeah. Wait, but you're not my grandmother, Irina said? Of course I am, you stupid girl. I helped raise you as well, but you should know I am a human. I do have I do not have the heart of a demon to disown so freely like the Hyoudou did to Issei. I could also understand why you were afraid. But I tell you now, despite your stupidity, I am still your grandmother, even though I won't get to see you walk and Issei walk down the aisle nor be together. You're still my grandchildren, causing Irina to put her down. I'm sorry, Irina said. You're sorry? What? I'm sorry, Oba-chan, as tears dripped down her eyes. Good, now get up. We need to go pack. Haruto says, pack? Yes, it's weekend. You're going to live here, so I can keep you from making any more dumbass decisions. While thinking to herself, like killing herself, I'm going to make you grow, Irina, so you are no longer influenced by anyone else. So no more having to buy any bundled cheer, Haruto says. But, no buts. Unless you want me to bend over my knee and spank your glaring at Irina, who shook her head. Good. Now, make one of those transport circle things so we can go. The sooner the better. Then this Rosvice can get back to recovering her life as those for the devils. If they ask you, you will say you are the Tsubaki-san's apprentice and let her know of this situation. If she wants a handwritten letter, I'll make one for you to give to her. But under no circumstances are they to ever contact you, so I suggest you start blocking some numbers, and you owe that boy an apology. Maybe he'll smack you around like Tsubaki, but you know you had it coming, Haruto said. Irina just nodded as she knew it. Kiba always wanted Tsubaki. He was only being nice to her because she was his friend's girlfriend, and then he was being nice because he was forced to. Now hurry up. We're losing daylight, as Irina transported them to the Hyoudou mansion. Being transported for the first time, it made Haruto's knees buckle as she caught herself on the dining table, where she and Irina encountered Rosvice, who was waiting for Irina to come back. Irina? Who are you? Rosvice said as she got up from her seat to check on Irina, but was defensive towards Haruto. Hi, Rosvice-sensei. This is, I'm Issei and Irina's grandmother. I must thank you for your words for helping get my granddaughter's head out of her ass. We came to get Irina's things. Like you, she is moving out. Her stupidity has caused harm to many people, and I need to set her straight, Haruto says. Moving out? But Rosvice says yes. She's coming to live with me. I hope you don't reveal her whereabouts to the others that live here. If they ask you, she told me that you were keeping watch of her over this last week. Well, I will be taking on that duty for now. And Miss Rosvice, as a woman, I am sorry for what happened to you, and I will pray that bastard gets what's coming to him, Haruto said. You told her? Turning her attention towards Irina, who just looked down. Well, she said Issei told her that she believes that you chose Azazel over him, and I had to clarify that it wasn't by your choice. I'm sorry I should have asked for your permission, but I didn't want you to be wrong for something that was not your fault, like Kiba was. And she bowed her head again. I see. Thank you, Rosvice says. I'll give you time to talk while you pack our things, so we can leave, resting at the dining table, and make it quick. We don't want any unexpected visitors, Haruto said. So for the next few hours, they worked on packing all of Irina's things, and Rosvice helped in transporting them to Haruto's place and unpacking it. Another surprise to Haruto was that Irina chose the same room that Issei chose, but she wasn't going to say anything about that. She had no intentions about speaking Issei. Though she texted her grandson that was happening, hearing no response back, she knew he either didn't charge the phone or didn't have the SIM card in. Rosvice did give her own farewell to Irina, a little glad that she was having a small turnaround. Haruto sent a notice to Hyoudou that she was looking after Irina now, as she no longer trusted her son and his wife. They had been informed of the infidelity from Michael, but they knew Haruto when they visited when Irina was young and knew that she would be a better influence to get their daughter back. They were still not ready to speak to Irina, but they knew that they needed to hear their daughter soon, and Haruto promised to keep track of Irina's progress. It wasn't until late at night that Haruto received a reply from Issei, telling her to do what she must, and he would remove his SIM card, but will pop it in once in a while to send her a text, when he could. He also sent her a picture of Invigold, stating how he made a new friend. Haruto laughed and wondered how long till Issei wound up sleeping with the girl. She knew men had been their needs, and Seraphol told him that he could have a harem. Looks like he found a girl, number 2. She would try to force Irina into a harem. They all knew that the ship and sailed. It was a matter of getting Irina back on her feet, and hopefully the two can act civil with each other. Irina, meanwhile, was thanking Michael for this chance to rekindle her relationship with her grandmother figure. She did pray for Tsubaki and Kiba and happiness that she helped ruin. She prayed for Gasper's happiness. She also prayed for Issei to hear Rosvice's story and her happiness, so she can have that closure. She did not know who Issei's new fiancé was, but she prayed that they will have a long, fulfilling relationship. She prayed for Gabriel and her forgiveness as it was turned Gabriel down the path of infidelity and hoped that Gabriel could live a normal life. She also prayed for her parents' forgiveness one day. She did not pray for herself and only hoped the people she hurt found closure. She looked at Helsing, sitting in the corner of her temporary room, but she knew that she could no longer use it as she was no longer pure of heart. Instead, she created a small blade of light and drew it across of the underside of her left forearm that went from her wrist to the middle of her forearm. She winced and tried not to scream from the pain of her searing her own self, but she knew that this mark was hers to bear and something she would live for the rest of her life. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we are on chapter 23. Asgard at Odin's castle. This is where we currently are. In Odin's library, shifting through the books and dragons was Lightning's Odin's new guard. She planned to go back to her world and know of its fate. But to do that, in her mind, she needed to defeat Great Red. She thought of how she came to this point, when she believed to defeat the Foul Seer saved her sister, Sarah, only to be summoned by the goddess Tetro. She fought for the goddess, earning herself a rival. A man by the name of Cassius. He was strong, and once was I could like her. She also had an understanding as he was the guardian of Ceres named Yule. It was similar to her protector, so she saw that understanding of Issei, as he was also protecting those that he loved. Unfortunately, she had witnessed the betrayal done to him. She could not fathom what would happen if Sarah did the same thing to her. However, she wouldn't get the chance because Issei had succeeded in saving his loved ones. She heard how the other Valkyries praised the Red Dragon Emperor. She did not get the chance as Sarah had died on her journey through time. Lightning had mourned Sarah's death and confided in binding Seltito's throne. However, the goddess had other plans, and so did Sarah, who had explained to her about her eventual death. It made Lightning feel useless, that her sister was going to die no matter what she did, and that hurt. She remembered that Sarah's spirit telling her to continue on, and Lightning promised that she wouldn't stop until she saw her again, only to wake up and find herself in front of Odin's castle. It was then she realized that Etero sent her here, and she knew that her journey was not done. She worried about her former teammates who gave up for her dead, and Sarah had informed her. She wanted to go back and let them know she was fine. Sarah joked to her about the finding a guy that she had snorted at. She was a soldier, so she trained herself and took on other Valkyries, rising in the ranks. She impressed many, including Odin himself, as she became assigned as his new personal guard. She questioned him about his former one, which she noted the sadness in his tone. When speaking about Rosvice, she wanted to learn more about Rosvice and spoke with Gondel about her granddaughter. She thought Rosvice was a capable warrior and was displeased about what she did, but upon learning that she was drugged, her view changed. As a woman, Lightning could sympathize with Rosvice and wondered if they would really banish her. It seemed that was quite back and forth as Rosvice gained more support. Since she was a victim, it did make Lightning disgusted with fallen angels. Of course, Gondel noted that not all the fallen angels were like that, and noted to Lightning that she would train with Barkiel, who was skilled in using the element of her namesake. Lightning pondered about it. In the threat of Razavine, she would need that, and she would get it. It helped to speak with Gondel, since she had been living with the woman and decided that Rosvice and her would make a competent Valkyrie duo. Since Rosvice was skilled in magic and Lightning was skilled in combat, now she lies in Odin's study, reading about dragons. From what she had gathered was Great Red was a dragon, and to slay a dragon, she needed a dragon-slaying weapon. The top one she discovered was Gram, which was used to slay the dragon Fafnir. However, the dragon was revived by Odin himself. She grimaced at this as she knew the gold dragon was a bit of a pervert, likely due to Odin. Odin, when drunk, usually criticized her breast size, and if she was insecure about them, hence why she always wore her armor. She wasn't, although her breasts were a bit bigger, the reason she wore her armor was because she always prepared for a fight. She wondered how Rosvica tolerated Odin's pervertedness. She found it ironic how she once had a summon, or Eldion, that was named Odin, and saw how the deity was much different from her majestic steed. Even former teammates, their idioms were different from the DxD counterparts, as Berliner was her mentor and Shiva was a male. She wondered if the girls cheated on Issei because he was a pervert, as she saw through his memories in that meeting. Considering how he protected them, she was pretty sure that if they asked him to change, he would. So she considered it in a heinous way to portray someone. It didn't help to discover that Graham was wielded by Sekiryuutei, who if she remembered from Issei's memories, he didn't look like a man proud of sleeping with his former best friend's girls, from what she saw, but he had the possible key to helping her get her home back. Gondel, Lightning. She called out to the older woman. What is it, Lightning? Would you happen to know where I can find Fafnir? Lightning said. I don't believe I do. What is it that you need to speak with him about? From what I read, he was slain by a sword. Graham, I want to know if it is capable of slaying the dragon Great Red, Lightning said. I don't think you can defeat someone of Great Red's caliber, Gondel said. Not yet, I just need the right tools, Lightning said. Such as Graham, Gondel replied. Exactly. Right now in the possession of Kiba. So you will challenge him, yes, but not until after he is done with his raiding game. But he will be banished and his powers will be constricted. You're not the only one to look for an easy win, Lightning, Gondel said. I'm not looking for an easy win. I will request an exception for him, Lightning said. You'd still have an advantage. You will have to tape him to the study and grant his movements and how he fights. The raiding game would add on to that. He has no tape on you, Gondel said. You're right. Then I suppose you can give my training sessions with Berner. As she turned on her heel, I'm going to find Odin. See if he can help me find Fafnir. Gondel chuckled as she knew Lightning was stubborn. To be honest, she reminded Gondel of Rosvica, but with more confidence. She wondered what would have happened if the two met. She knew Lightning had no quarrel with Rosvica, but she was intrigued by the prospect of them meeting, and Rosvica wasn't fully banished. At least her granddaughter had the rights to see her, but she was gaining full favor for a full banishment to be overturned. Lightning walked down the halls of Odin's castle, giving nods to several Valkyries that she had seen. She was focused on her task and speaking with Odin and Fafnir's whereabouts. For all she knew, the dragon was partnered with the Snun. Unaware that the dragon recited its contract to Azia, she didn't want to talk to one of those girls that betrayed Issei and tipped them off. Reaching Odin's throne room, she proudly opened the door. She knew that she was coming, something she learned about the all-seeing father during her time. Lightning, so good to see you, Odin said. The feeling is not so mutual, Lightning replied. Ha! Did you prefer me commenting on your showing your breast? I hope you're not feeling insecure about that. If you are, you won't get a boyfriend, Odin says. I don't need a boyfriend, Odin. I just need you to tell me where I can find Fafnir. Are you sure you want to find him? He may ask for your panties. Chuckling at the dragon had done with Asya. I'm aware of his perversion is part of you. After all, you're the one that revived him, Lightning said. Yes, I did. I suppose a small part of me latched onto him during the revival process, but why do you want to find him, Odin says. Well, he was slain by the sword Graham. I would like to know if that sword is capable of bringing down a dragon like Great Red. Oh, Lightning, I'd rather you not lose so early. Great Red and Fafnir are on different levels and different rankings. Fafnir is a dragon king, whereas Great Red is a dragon god. Or the dragon of the dragons, Odin said. I've faced deities before, Lightning said. So I've heard, but I would not say they compare to Great Red. Otherwise they would have been able to break his hold and try to evade us, Odin said. I see what you're saying, as she pondered about her choices, but I still plan to take Graham from Sekiryuutei. What for? Odin said. Well, despite being a demonic sword, it still belongs to the Nordic faction. But also, I may have to beat this Issei, Lightning said. Still planning to beat Great Red? You know you could just ask Issei when he returns to contact Great Red for you, Odin said. Why's that? Lightning replied. Because Issei has a body that was built by Great Red. Even better. Then I can determine if Graham is capable of harming Great Red. But I will have to ask Fafnir for more information, Lightning said. You're quite tedious, aren't you? Chuckling at her decision. Very well. Fafnir's in Tannin's territory and underworld. You'll have to speak with one of the demons about heading there. Your best chance are the ones in Ko, preferably Sona Sitri, Odin said. What about your former bodyguard, Rosvisa? Lightning said. She would get curious and investigate your intentions more than Sona will, Odin said. You know something, don't you? Not sure. When do you plan to leave? I'll leave in a few days. I'm not in a rush to get my answers. Ooh, maybe you can get some new clothes and get out of that armor, Odin said. Maybe I will. This armor would have draw heads if I were to enter school grounds like this, Lightning said. For once, you actually listen to me, Odin said. Since we're on the term of listening, then may I ask you something? Of course. Why do you abolish any banishment from Rosvisa? You know she was a victim. Even your people can see that, Lightning said. I'm aware, Odin said. So why don't you? I suppose you are right. It seems stupid to confine her to just seeing her grandmother when she did nothing wrong when everything goes down. She will still want to come home, Odin says. So, Lightning replied, I will not be banishing Rosvisa or restricting her to where she can go in Asgard. As he relaxed to his throne, but something must be done about Azazel, Odin said. I'm sure the Valkyries can think of something, I suppose. May I ask you something? And that is, Lightning replied, what do you think of Issei from what you have seen so far? To be honest, after dealing with you, he's a pervert. This made Odin laugh. However, he is like me, a soldier from what I can understand. His last name means soldier. So his full name means honest soldier, and he was honest about his perversion. That's no doubt, but I hear that he is changing the last name. I understand his reason for that, remembering how the Hyoudou acted on Issei's memories, but when I look at his perversion, nobody ever asked him to change. So what they did was a cruel motive, even if it was in a playful fun. Someone gets hurt, and it seems that one was Issei, plus the disrespect of doing it in his room. They had no shame. What would they have done if they actually walked in? Lightning said. They probably would have asked him to join, and if they call him a pervert, Odin said. You think he would have? I doubt that. He may be a pervert, but he has his morals. I don't think that they cheated because he was a pervert either, considering how he was defended them. If they wanted him to change, he would have done so, Lightning said. I think you can ask Sona about Ravel Phoenix's story. Which I would agree with you. From how she stated it, it was Rias that said they could have fun, and he would never find out. That doesn't help make a healthy relationship, Lightning said, and I highly doubt they would have stopped. Well, except Rosvisa. But what if one of them got pregnant? How would they explain that? I would agree with you. But I think some of them would realize how deep they have gotten if that happened, and the guilt would eat them alive, Odin said. The delusional one is Rias. She's the ringleader, isn't she? Lightning said. She was spoiled at a young age, so she would want to do things her way. She wants to take cake and eat it, Odin said. I guess one could say that, but going back to question what I think of Issei, he's a pervert, but he has his morals. We are similar in doing what we can to protect our loved ones. He was successful, and I was not, Lightning said. Your sister, Odin replied. Yeah, as she turned around to begin to head out of the room. If I may ask, Lightning, if you were to join forces with Issei, would you do it? Odin says, if he keeps that perversion to himself, I would consider it, Lightning said. Maybe you can whip him into shape, though it would suck to lose another bodyguard, Odin said. What are you implying? Lightning said, turning back to Odin. Nothing, waving it off, looking away. He wanted to avoid her glare. He figured that sticking her with Issei would be good for the both of them. Maybe he could get her to loosen up. I see. Let's hope it would nothing, Lightning said as she began to leave once again. If I may ask, why did you choose the name Lightning? I doubt your parents would name you that, which follow-up my question is, what is your real name? Well, considering how the people around me die, I realize that lightning seeks to destroy, it doesn't protect. And as for my real name, I'm sure Etro has already told you, so I don't see why you need to ask as she walked out of the throne room. Odin simply smiled. He knew that there was two things that would happen. Issei would get Lightning to open up, or she would kill both of them. Considering what Issei mentioned about the ritual, he had a feeling that Issei would be different, but still somewhat the same. He was sure Seraphil could handle things as she was changing herself, with a chuckle. He leaned back into his chair, and he realized that he felt better about not banishing Rosvisa either. He does hope he could talk to her after the fallout. He was going to have to tell Berner that she can't retire. He knew she was fond of Lightning, Lightning. But what from Etro told him, Lightning had a diverse team and Issei seemed like a better option for Lightning to join. Balloon thought she had another successor. Oh well, Odin said, laughing to himself. Lightning began walking back to the library to speak to Gondel about her plans. She found her reading some magic books and she was going to call her out to get her attention. However, she realized she didn't need Gondel, already sensed it. Had a fun talk, Gondel said, never looking up from her book. You could say that. I'll be leaving in a few days, heading to Go. Oh, what for? I thought you were seeking Fafnir. Something to do with it, Lightning said. I plan to speak with Sona Citri about letting me enter the underworld so I can speak with Fafnir, Lightning said. I see, Gondel replied. Another thing. I spoke with Odin about Rosvice's restriction. He agreed with me. He will abolish her banishment. He'll stop reading her and looked at Lightning, who kept a neutral face as Gondel's eyes widened slightly. You mean... Yes, she was a victim and the Valkyries don't believe she should be punished. Even the people agree. It's a matter of punishing the fallen angel, Azazel. Oh, that is true. I just feel relieved. Her eyes got slightly wet. Odin felt that when the fallout happens, it's best that she returns home. Home? Are you sure you want to go home? You've talked about me to your sister. Your other friends have given up for dead. Why do you want to go back? Gondel said. I don't know. I guess I miss them. Let me know I'm okay. I'm not dead. They were my team, Lightning said. But you have a new team here. We would also miss you, even though you have been with us for a little while, but you have risen in our ranks. I guess that is thanks to your military experience, but don't you think Estro sent you here for a reason? I don't understand, Lightning replied. If you served a purpose for her, why didn't she send you back home? She sent you here instead. Maybe you have a new purpose, Gondel said. You mean to fight Razavine? Lightning said. Perhaps. But after the death of your sister, you enclosed yourself into a crystal on Estro's throne. You didn't ask to go home, though I guess it's because you could communicate with her spirit, which she did tell you. Huh? Lightning replied. What did she talk when you communicated with her spirit? Gondel said. Lightning let out a sigh as she took a seat across from Gondel and looked at the older Valkyrie. She knew of her eventual death, but she didn't stop until we're together again, and she had no regrets and told me that I shouldn't forget about her, that will we see each other again. Well, I know you can keep that promise, but did she ever mention the others that you want to see? Gondel said. Lightning pondered about that. She didn't recall Sarah speaking about Fang, Vantali, Hope, Sazi, maybe Snow, but that was Sarah's fiance. Although with Sarah running off to look for Lightning, it probably caused a tear in their relationship. She already knew the fate of Fang and Valniel, who became the beast known as Ragnarok, to prevent the planet Cocoon from destroying their world, but for the others, Gondel was right. If the others have left for dead, then there was no point in going back. They moved on with their lives. Sazi with his son, hoping with parents, but she knew Snow was alone. At least he went out looking for me, but he was probably because of Sarah. At least he's loyal, even if I didn't approve of their relationship, Lightning said. She leaned back into the chair. She was angry and sad at the same time about the ordeal. It didn't help that the impending war was going to happen in this world, so if Kiba, you two, was going to be banished, then a sword like Graham would still be beneficial. From what she has read, Kiba can only swing it a few times before he becomes tired, thus it makes him ineffective. She would have to prove that the sword that she is better suited for it. She had no interest in the other demonic swords. Maybe you're right, but I would like to at least know what happened in my world, Lightning said. If they moved on, so be it. But if I can just see it one last time, that is all I need. If you insist, I won't stop you. But remember, if you don't like what you see, you are always welcomed here, reaching out and patting Lightning's hand. Thank you, Lightning said. She remembered her past and losing her father and then her mother, how she joined the military, pushed Sarah far away, and fought to get her back. It was still the worst birthday ever, but the most impactful one out of her life. I'm going to train a little more, getting up from her seat to leave the library. If you see Rosvisa while you're in Go, please give her my greetings, Gondel said. I will. It felt nice talking to Gondel and wish she was around when her parents had died. Sarah would have loved to meet her. She was a little jealous that Rosvisa had a grandmother to support her, while she did not have any known family members to turn to, and thus she had to grow quickly up for their sake. Sarah, I wish you could meet Gondel one day. Now that I think about it, Rosvisa, her granddaughter, seems decent from what I hear. You probably would like to meet her too. Things might have been different if they were in our lives before this mess of you being branded as Pulse Key back in the day, and maybe, just maybe, they would have helped me accept your relationship to Snow. I hope you're doing well, wherever you are. Now we're back with Issei. In the outside world, it might have been only a couple of days, but for Issei and Invold, it was about a week and half from the Oasis. It was relatively easy to go back on track after killing those rogue exorcists. Issei also knew that he needed to speak with Great Red, but he still had more to learn about Invold. She was a mystery to him. When she unleashed that water dragon, he remembered seeing the insignia from her somewhere. He had already informed his grandmother of the girl, after Harato had informed him that she was taking care of Irina. He did not really care because he knew his grandmother would whip anyone into shape. It almost made him smile, wishing he could be there when she hammers in on the Hyoudou. Right now, he was watching Invold try some other offensive water moves. She seemed to be natural with water, as she had a book that was provided to him by Odin. It was off to the side as he had not to get damaged. She was able to manipulate her water into different creatures. And then just snakes and dragons. She utilized the water sharks as well. Although he would not tell her, he has seen her naked, but they were by accident. Her figure was slim but slowly filling out. He believed that this was due to the lack of resources for food out in the wild. He also helped her with physical training with some workouts. Some easier ones like push-ups and sit-ups. As he was watching her, he looked specifically at her magic circle while he was flipping through the book that Ajuka gave him in the clans of the underworld. I can easily note that it's not the Gremry, Seatree, nor Phoenix, nor Astaroth. It's not Biel, and definitely not Lucifer, Issei says, as he stifled through the book. Oh, Shalba was a Beelzebub. He turned to that page which was among information about the original mouse, remembering the man that killed using Samuel's poison. No, it's not that either. Well, that's good. And not Asimodeus either, Issei said to himself. He breathed in out a slight of relief that there was 3 out of the 4 down. The last thing that he needed was dealing with a power-hungry devil. However, he turned the page of the Leviathan section. Just like that Katria chick. Then he looked up in his eyes, which saw Invigold's insignia and her magic. It was the same, although Invigold's was colored light blue, and he looked like the page to confirm it. She's a Leviathan. His mouth hung open as Invigold effortlessly made the water rise and the giant tidal wave roaring downstream. As Invigold finished her demonstration, she felt proud as she watched the tidal wave crash into the trees and rip a couple out of the ground. She smiled and giggled to herself. I did it. I definitely got stronger thanks to these books. And Issei-san, as she looked around the oasis, this place is beautiful. Though it's an artificial room, I think that's what Issei-san said. Invigold said to herself. She continued looking around until her eyes locked with Issei's, as she has stared at her with his mouth open. She blushed as she now realized that Issei was watching her. She assumed that he was in shock because of the damage. She did not know that her secret was revealed. She decided to apologize because she felt that she maybe destroyed something in the area, so she went to him. Sorry, Issei-san. I didn't throw so much water there, Invigold says, looking down at her twiddling fingers. A Leviathan. She doesn't seem arrogant like the others. Why is she so different? Issei said. By not answering, Invigold felt that he was mad and apologizing didn't help. I'll just go, Invigold said. She felt like she ruined her chances here and beginning to head towards Drake's cave to pack her things. She was talking to you. You don't have to leave a lady waiting, Arondite said. The sword call allowed Issei to snap out of his shock and turns towards the retrieving figure of Invigold. He couldn't help but appreciate her curves from behind. Wow, but then again, Katria wasn't that bad looking either, Issei said. Focus, Arondite said. Sorry, she's just so beautiful. Issei replied. Well, she was feeling sad because you didn't say anything. You must call her back and explain things to her and understand her intentions, Arondite said. Oh, sorry. I'm not the one you should apologize to, Arondite said. Invigold, come back, Issei said. He called out to the girl. She stopped and looked back at Issei, where he could see her eyes were wet from a tear streak as well. Oh no. As he got up, leaving the book behind, and ran to catch up to her. Hey, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to ignore you, Issei said. I thought that you didn't want me here, quite... Each break of her sentence. No, I want you here. I told you. You're my first friend out here. Pulling her into a hug. Here, I'll show you what had me in shock. As he took her hand and led her to where he was sitting, she quietly followed him, calming down her sniffles. She wouldn't admit it, but she did like the hug. When he hugged her, it was the first hug that she had received in a very long time. Here, take a seat, Issei says, as he bent down and picked up to the book and patted the ground next to him. She looked quizzically at him before she sat down next to him. When she was comfortable enough, he began to speak. So, I was looking through this book. It has the information all around the clans of the Maos. Her eyes widened a little. Now, the reason I was looking through this is because I thought I could figure out what the clan you may be from. You don't seem like a stray demon, but as I looked through, it made sense why you didn't tell me your last name. You're a descendant of the original Leviathan, aren't you? As he handed her to the book page, he couldn't open the Leviathan information. She couldn't move. She was scared of the inside. He figured out her secret. She could only fear that what he would do to her now. She didn't want to look him in the eye. She could only look at the page that had her clan's signal on it. Issei saw her distress and he realized that he didn't make the situation any better for her, but he could understand her trust issues. Judging from your silence, I guess you are. So you could look here, as he pointed to the section in the book. Imogul might have been staring at the page, but she wasn't paying him much attention. She could hear him, but she was also thinking of a way to escape. It says here that your clan has the ability that it's called Serpent of the End, and the part of that ability is that you can turn into a long serpent, like a dragon, and fire a powerful amount of your magical energy. Although it does enhance your water manipulation powers, it could destroy the oasis, so let's not use it, unless our backs are against the wall, okay? Smiling at her, Issei did. Imogul heard the last part, and noted how he said not to destroy the oasis. You're letting me stay? Imogul said, blinking in confusion. Yeah, I don't see the problem, you're my friend. Although I've dealt with people like you before, something about you is different from them. Wait, you're not planning on ruling the underworld, are you? Issei said. No, I would like to see it someday, but no, I don't plan to rule it, Imogul said. That's a relief. Whew, laying back on his neck and looking up at the artificial sky. Issei-san, what do you mean about people like me? Imogul says. She saw his face turn grim. She couldn't read his emotion. She waited in silence, then she saw emotion. But Issei didn't move a muscle. It was a tear that fell from the eye that was the furthest from her. It made her worried about he was hurting about something. Could you lay down with me, Imogul? Issei said. Sure, as he laid beside him. Imogul, what were your parents like? My parents, well, they cared enough for me. We lived in a side city that is probably north of here. I think it was peaceful, but then I had fallen to sleeping disease, only to know that what they did because they wrote me into a journal, but they notified the nobles of the Leviathan clan to hide me and also cure me. My presence was kept secret for many years. Not even the current government knows I exist. But when I came to, I found the journal, and my parents had passed away. I guess whoever looked after me took it upon themselves to inform me of their findings in the journal. I had a Sekiryuutei manifesting in me. Really? Do you know what it is? Issei says. They called it Nereid Kairi in their notes, from what I experienced. It makes my eyes glow lavender, and I see those lavender light particles around me. Imogul says, weird, lavender. That was the last color I saw when I heard her singing the other day. I think it affects those around me because I found your body the other day and you seem to be in the vicinity of my singing, but I sensed you were already there, so I think I can also detect presences as well. Yours is a mixture, though. I could only detect the draconic presence. She knew I was there. Wait a minute. He turned to him and goes, You could detect my draconic presence, Issei said. Yes. It's been growing during the other times together here. I'm still amazed by how fast time goes on here. I think I also detect you, or at least this cave. When I was running from those exorcists, I guess I assumed that you were a dragon and you would eat them, so I tried to lure them to you, but nothing worked and they still chased after me. And Imogul says, You thought I would eat them, Issei replied, chuckling at her statement. Well, don't dragons attack when their territory is threatened? Imogul said. I guess you're right, Issei replies. What about your parents? Imogul says. Depend on which ones you're talking about, Issei says. Your birth parents, Imogul says. Fuck 'em, Issei replied. Huh? She was confused by this interaction. Oh, sorry, I forgot. By my relationship to my birth parents, or rather my birth parents, is severed, Issei says. Are they a part of the people that betrayed you? Imogul replied. Them and the others are people I once loved, you see. My first set of parents didn't like me much. Well, the material side did for a little bit, but once that love decayed, they were kind of hypocritical. They're a bunch of perverts and greedy people. I guess I'm sounding a little hypocritical, but I'm a pervert too. I get it from them. They don't realize it. My grandfather always talked about getting a harem, since he and my sperm donor could not. When they were young, of course. When I was a kid, I didn't think of it much. My grandma would make sure of it. She's strict in kicking. Maybe you'll meet her one day. I sent a picture of you to her, letting know that I got a new friend, Issei said. That made both of them smile as they stared into the sky, but Issei's face became neutral. I also didn't think much of how the Hyoudou. That's my first set of parents. So before I was once Issei Hyoudou, but not anymore. I didn't think how they didn't want me, how I thought I wouldn't become something or someone at the time. I had this friend, her name was Irino or Hyoudou, which her last name is. I thought she was a boy back then, and I would hang out with her with my grandparents, then my grandpa died and Irino left. I didn't get to see my grandma much, only in January is when we get to see her. Anyway, after those events of Irino leaving, and my grandpa dying, I ended up meeting this old man in the park. And he kept spouting off about how Oppai are the best treasures ever. I kind of looked to it heart and sort of did the same thing. Maybe the Hyoudou would notice me more or something, but nothing. And ladies and gentlemen, that is where we're going to stop for now. I'm glad you enjoyed the cliffhanger. I just want to thank everybody for the support. I'm not going to talk as much as I give a little speech as I did last time because I'm quite tired right now. If you haven't noticed, I am extremely in training mode, so this will be coming out the 7th. Hopefully you guys, I don't know if you guys play Dokkan or Legends, or I've been playing those games quite a bit. You know, Dokkan's anniversary is coming out, or the banners are coming out at like 10 p.m., and that's going to be so cool and like so fun. So hopefully I pull some of the new Hyoudous, and, you know, we're having a good time, etc., things like that. I mean, I might stream it, probably not, don't expect it. So thank you so much for the support, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, go head over to my Patreon, and I react to literally every single anime on there. It's so fun to, like, have people, like, I can, like, just sit there and watch anime without having the price of YouTube taking down my videos and losing everything I ever built up. So yeah, that's actually fantastic. And some person actually in the comment section was like, why don't you just go on Twitch or Kick or they're streaming it? Guys, are you kidding me? You get copyrighted over there too. It's the same thing. I don't know what kind of stupid comment that was, but we're gonna ignore that one. So thanks so much for the support, ladies and gentlemen. I can't thank everybody enough. Remember, if you're going through something, move on. And yeah, 400 to 500 likes, that'd be great. Thanks all to my bounce breakers, alternate members, limit breakers, Giga Chad people, man, Patreon members, man. Thank you, man. Just thanks for the support, boys. And without any further abruption, Spartanic Arts DXD out. Hit that damn like button.